I'm sorry. The bee gives me a few moments to get myself under control. But you've gone back into beekeeping now? Yes. I'm fully committed to the bees now. Who doesn't love bees, right? And it's important to save them. I try to think of some fact I know about bees when the closest I've ever come to a bee is batting away one that decided it wanted a share of my sandwiches on a summer picnic. And you know your duties will involve weekly hive inspections, watching out for diseases or mites and treating accordingly, keeping the bees calm and happy, and of course, harvesting the honey, and then preparing the hives for winter. You will report to the head of the nectar inspectors, a Friends of Elderflower Grove group, a charity set up to support the bees and their habitat in the wake of the owner's disappearance. And you're local to Little Kettling, aren't you? So you know how important the bees are to the villagers? Yes, of course. Right. And I do have to ask you about the premises. This job takes place at Elderflower Grove. You must be aware of the stories that swirl around the village about the old mansion. I love Elderflower Grove. It's the main reason I want this job. The burnt-out manor house on the edge of the village where I grew up. I've always felt drawn to the place, although I've never been inside. When I was younger, it was owned by an old witch of a woman. The local gossip mill claimed she was an actual witch of the bubbling cauldrons and black cats type. A wicked spinster who lived alone and cast a spell on anyone who dared set foot on her land. She's long gone now. Presumed dead in the fire that gutted Elderflower Grove 7 years ago. Nothing left behind but the shell of a beautiful old manor house, a cross between Pemberley and Downton Abbey, a building that watches me through empty window frames every time I walk past its overgrown grounds. The only sign of life is the buzzing that emanates from the rooftop beehives on summer evenings. Yes, of course, I live about 10 minutes walk away. Down the side streets, you can see the roof from my bedroom window. Why did I say that? No job interviewer cares about the view from my window. And you're not bothered by the ghost stories? You're not afraid of ghosts? There have always been ghost stories about Elderflower Grove. When I was little, all the local children were afraid of the old witch. There were campfire tales of venturing past the gate of Elderflower Grove and never being seen again. Any football that accidentally went over her wall would be returned in shreds. The dog walkers who accidentally stumbled into her grounds and were chased off by a woman wielding a knife. There was probably a headless horseman in there somewhere too. There's usually a headless horseman in ghost stories for good measure. I can honestly say I've never had a job interview where ghosts came into the equation before. No. Only our last beekeeper had a close encounter of the spirit kind and ran off screaming into the night, never to be seen again. I could do without a repeat of that. What would you do if you saw a ghost? This really is the strangest interview. I'm half convinced it's a joke or prank of some kind, and yet I get the sense that my potential employment hinges on my answer to this question, and that it might be more important than my extensive beekeeping experience, or lack thereof. Offer it a cup of tea and a chocolate hobnob. The bee laughs. It's dead. It's going to need a cup of tea. Can you imagine how long it would have been since its last cuppa? If anything calls for tea and a biscuit, it's being dead. The bee is laughing too hard to speak, and I'm barely able to restrain myself from singing the Ghostbusters theme tune. I knew it would be a strange one as soon as the bee filter popped on screen, and a message came up saying the filter was to protect the interviewer's privacy, and if I had a problem with conducting the interview like this, it clearly wasn't the job for me. The stories about Elderflower Grove have always been just that. Stories. A fire-damaged house, grounds that haven't been disturbed for years, and a question mark over what happened to the owner. It would be more surprising if there weren't ghost stories about the place. The gossip has amped up lately, mind. Every time I go into the village, someone or other is talking about hearing things that go bump in the night, and mysterious lights have been spotted in the building when there's no one there. The bee is still laughing, so I barrel on ahead.